So it's time for another Battlefield Mailbox video where I get to answer some of the questions that you submitted in the comment section of the last video. Have to say there were some really good comments this time round. It would be great to see some comments like that again. But we're going to kick off today with a question from Wee Ginge, and he has this to say. Do you think DICE should reward their veteran players with more than just a new knife and some nifty attachments, but maybe with something like a weapon from an older Battlefield game, similar to what they did with Bad Company 2? I don't know about you, but I'd love to see either a Thompson or a PPSH return in Battlefield 4. Do you know what? I totally agree with you on this one. I really do feel that in Battlefield 4 there isn't anything in there specifically for being a Battlefield veteran. They make a big deal out of it in Bad Company 2. If you're a veteran, you get access to the M1A1 Thompson, the M1 Garand and the M1911 pistol. In Battlefield 4, you don't really get anything, you just get a knife, and really I don't think that that's as good as having a weapon that you can use all the time, whereas a knife you can only use in certain situations. As for the weapon I'd actually like to see in the game, I think it would be really cool to see the XM8 series of weapons come back from Bad Company 2. There was the XMA Assault Rifle, the XM8 LMG, and I think the XM8C, which was the XM8 compact version, which was a carbine. Now those weapons were really good in Bad Company 2, and they were prototype weapons. They never actually made it to production. But it was something really cool to see in a game like that, and I think bringing that back to Battlefield 4 would be really awesome. Now the next question today comes from a lot of people. I think there was about 25 comments in total that mentioned Battlefield Bad Company 3, so I thought I'd answer it in one sort of general question. So the main topic is that how would I see Battlefield Bad Company 3 as a game? So a lot of people mentioned sort of what setting would it be in, how would it play out, would it be on the Frostbite 3 engine and all those kind of things. So for me, Battlefield Bad Company 3 would be an extension of Battlefield Bad Company 2. Rather than looking at Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 and building a game based on that, I think we'd have to return to Battlefield Bad Company 2 and look at it that way. In every sense, including the engine, the game mechanics, the way you customise your weapons, the vehicles, all those different types of things, we'd have to return back at least 4 years to get to a point where I'd be thinking that is what Battlefield Bad Company 3 is. So in terms of that, I think that I'd like to see it built on perhaps the Frostbite 1.5 engine again, where the destruction was just much better than what it was in Battlefield 3. And to an extent, Battlefield 4, I can understand the Levolution aspect being in Frostbite 3 and actually being powered by that, but it's not well, it is interactive, but the actual explosion or whatever, the dam going down, it happens the same every single time. Now in Bad Company 2, I remember the days where you could absolutely flatten houses completely. Any house you chose, you could flatten. Even the ones with staircases in. If you remember Arica Harbour on the first set of MCOMs on the Rush map, if you took down the building, you'd actually destroy the Rush MCOM. So things like that, I think I'd like to see it return to an older style engine, perhaps make it a little bit more arcadey. In terms of the gameplay, I really liked the way that there were only a certain amount of weapons that you could use. There was only a certain amount of upgrades and you had to sacrifice certain things to get different things. So if you wanted Magnum ammo, you had to sacrifice a sight. So you didn't get a sight at all, you just had to use iron sights and things like that. I liked the way that you could equip a med pack and then equip a specialisation to make the med pack heal people faster. I liked the way that you couldn't see exactly how much health you had down in the bottom corner of the screen. I know on PC it was a console port, so perhaps they could have added it in, but to a certain extent I actually enjoyed that because I never knew how much health I had, so I'd take less risks. I want to be able to play better and work my way around a situation rather than just sort of running full steam ahead in knowing that I've got 26% health left when I come out the other side. It makes me sit down and it makes me play the game a little bit more tactically than I do in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I think what I'm trying to say is I'd like it to be more simple, back to a day where we didn't have that amount of customization, and really the way that we played dictated on how skillful you were, how well you knew the map, not just by using a weapon that was more powerful than another one. And one final thing, I want to finish the campaign. At the end of Bad Company 2, there's a massive cliffhanger where the Russians are invading the USA through Alaska. And I don't know what's going to happen, I don't even think DICE know what's going to happen, and I just think it would be really cool to actually be able to finish that, because Battlefield Bad Company and Bad Company 2 are the two best campaigns I've ever played in a video game. I just think they're so funny and they're really good and interactive, and that's what I really liked. Fair enough, they were quite easy, but that's not the point. It tells a really good story, and I want to see how that's actually going to finish. The next question today comes in from FPS Danny Boy, and he had this to ask. Westy, how do you feel about the China Rising Levolution being cancelled or removed from the game? I noticed that you said that China Rising was going to have weather Levolution, but we haven't even seen that either. What are your thoughts? Well, to start off with, I did indeed mention that back when China Rising, before it was released, I got to go to EA in London and play China Rising before it came out. Now, at that event, I spoke to the lead developer for the China Rising DLC, and he said to me that there wasn't going to be any massive aspects of Levolution in China Rising because the maps just didn't warrant that, and the way they played out, it just didn't seem to make any sense why they would include massive Levolution aspects. They did toy around with, for example, the weather station on Altai Range, having that destroy itself, or there would be a bomb underneath it where you could arm it and it would sort of crumble down, but that was the main focal point of the map, and when they actually did that, they said that the gameplay actually deteriorated and became non-existent in that area. And then the map is so expansive that the central point sort of disappeared and there was nowhere to fight anymore properly as an infantry soldier. So that's why they said they didn't do any big Levolution events for China Rising, and you can see why that would sort of translate across to the other maps. In terms of the weather though, I am really disappointed that they didn't include that. I know in Second Assault they pushed the sandstorm quite heavily for Gulf of Oman, and I know that that was due to be included with Silk Road. I know there was supposed to be a weather storm on Altai Range. I think snow was supposed to roll in. In Dragon Pass there was supposed to be a load of lightning and thunder and rain clouds and stuff like that. I'm not sure about Guilin Peaks. I didn't ask him what the Levolution was going to be there. But there are certain aspects that I was really disappointed about, and definitely the weather. Even though it was a small aspect of Levolution and it wasn't user triggered, it was going to change the way the map actually played, and that's what I think that the China Rising DLC is missing. The maps themselves just feel like Battlefield 3 maps, where they're a little bit static, where maybe static's not the right word, because obviously there's lots of battles going on, but in terms of the actual map itself, there's nothing dynamic about it. It's very just sort of monotone. And I am a little bit disappointed they didn't include Levolution. There must have been a good reason why they took it out, otherwise they wouldn't have done it. But we know at the moment that they're trying to just fix the game in general. So maybe we'll see it reintroduced, I'm not too sure. But definitely I'm disappointed that Levolution wasn't included with China Rising. And finally, we come to the last question, which of course is the BF Daily question of the day. It's going to feature in every episode from now on, because he has some great sort of questions for me, because he's a news source on Twitter. That's another thing. If you do have Twitter, make sure you go and follow him. He's a great news source. He's always retweeting things from DICE developers, giving out news on the Battlefield community. He always posts videos as well from a lot of YouTubers. So if you want a really good Battlefield source, make sure you go and follow him. But because he has that news source, he's able to develop ideas and things like that and put to me some really good questions. So today he's got this one for me. Naval Strike to me is a really mysterious DLC. We don't know what the maps will look like and how they'll play, and I find it hard to think of game modes that could fit a naval-based DLC. Some people are speculating about a return of the beloved Titan game mode from Battlefield 2142, but with aircraft carriers instead of Titans. Would you like to see a return of that game mode, and do you think it's a possibility? The Naval Strike DLC is somewhat confusing because it's only about 2 months away from its supposed release in March 2014, and we don't know anything about it. All we know is that it's going to be a naval-themed DLC. So in terms of what we can really say, I'm not too sure. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of maps along the lines of Paracel Storm, which in itself is a really good map. But in terms of game modes, I think Obliteration is obviously going to work really well. The return of Titan mode, I'm not entirely sure, because I think it sort of requires to have a very large map, and obviously with some island-based stuff going on in between, the idea being that you have to get into the other Titan and then sort of blow it up and things like that. Yeah, it would be great to see it, but I don't know how it would be implemented. I'm more inclined to think that we're going to be seeing some type of naval superiority with maps like Paracel Storm, so there's a little bit of cover, you'll be weaving in and out of rocks and things like that in attack boats maybe. I think that's probably more along the lines of what we're going to be seeing, but I think it's just a throwaway game mode. So if we were to see a Titan mode, I think a lot of people would be playing it, like they play Conquest and Rush. It's a really, really loved game mode from the Battlefield community, but if we saw naval superiority, I think it would just end up the same as air superiority, where only a few people play it every now and again. It's not something that I'd be playing on a regular basis. I just think it's one of those throwaway game modes that no one's going to play. If Titan mode was to come along, I think it would make a lot of people happy, but I don't really know which one is most likely to come up. Really, it's 50-50, I think, and it's best just to wait and see. But that is the end of this video, guys, so thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, please do leave a like on the video, and make sure you leave all your comments down below for questions for the next episode of Battlefield Mailbox. But until next time, my name is Westy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.